Hello, my name is Peter Nicholson. I'm the Chief Fiduciary Officer with First National Wealth Management. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing for retirement, considerations when withdrawing from the portfolio, the budgeting process, and last, we'll talk about the importance of engaging a financial planner early in accumulation phase. When talking about retirement readiness, there are many things to consider. One, you really need to consider how much money you've accumulated to this point, how much money you actually have in your nest egg, whether that be a taxable account or IRA. Really important to determine how much money you've saved up until now. You also need to consider what your income sources will be post-retirement. Will you have wage income? Will you have pension income or Social Security income? And maybe a combination of those things. So also, if you find that you have a deficit when you back out of your expenditures from your income, if you have a deficit, how much will you need from the portfolio? Will it be 4%? Will it be 5%? Will it be 6%? So if your financial plan suggests that you're not ready, you as an investor need to be ready to pivot and make adjustments if needed. Adjustments may mean adjust your spending through your budget. So you may need to make adjustments there. You may need to work a few more years. You may find that you may need to work part-time. So there are always going to be some things that you can adjust, whether it be your spending or working or even through your budget. Certainly a retirement plan will help you. Basically, the 4% rule states that if you have a portfolio, a reasonable amount to distribute from that nest egg will be 4% on an annual basis. And simple math, if you have a $500,000 portfolio, 4% of that number is $20,000 on an annual basis. The 4% rule is more of a guideline for when you distribute from the portfolio. It's not an end-all, be-all solution. It's more of a guideline for you to consider when you're withdrawing from the portfolio. So as you go through retirement and you're looking at disbursements, you really need to be a little bit more dynamic over and above the 4% rule. You really need to consider inflation as a factor every year. So as opposed to having a stagnant 4% number being distributed from the portfolio, you need to be looking at inflation every year. So let's say all things remain equal. You have a $500,000 portfolio and you have inflation of 4%. That $20,000 figure really should be adjusted to $20,800. You also need to consider performance as a variable here too, because over time, markets are up more than they're down. So in theory, you really should be able to adjust that distribution percentage in the upward direction over time. You also need to be prepared if you have a down market. So as opposed to raising your disbursement level, you need to be ready to either maintain that disbursement level at around 4% or even reduce it, depending on the size of your portfolio. You also need to consider asset allocation. So the 4% rule really is not applicable. It does not do a good job with an all cash portfolio or an all fixed income portfolio. The reason being the 4% rule assumes that you have equity exposure in your portfolio. So you really need to be considering the importance of having equity for growth in your portfolio, bonds for stability, and some cash as well. The 4% rule assumes a 25 to 30 year time frame. So that's one significant reason why an all cash portfolio and an all fixed income portfolio may not do the job if we're using the 4% rule. So you need to be dynamic and ready to make changes as needed. There's always going to be risk out there. It doesn't matter if it's US political risk, geopolitical risk, internationally, any sort of surprise event that may cause the market to fall. On average, every single year, you need to get used to the idea that you're going to see at least a 5% drop each and every year, if not more. So really diversity is incredibly important. Staying true to your plan is important. Consider the bucket approach as well. This is part of the planning process where we really have clients have three separate buckets. The short-term bucket, which is really should consist of your emergency fund money. This is all cash, savings account, checking account money, treasury bill money you can get your hands on if you need to. This is all for emergency money. 3 to 6 months of your fixed and variable expenses should be set aside. Your intermediate term bucket of money, which is really earmarked for an intermediate term goal. Let's say 1 to 5 year goal. Let's say it's, you need to save for your child's education, or you're saving up to buy a home in 3 years. That's an example of an intermediate term goal. That really should be earmarked to invest in any sort of fixed income instrument whether it be a corporate bond, municipal bonds, CD, or even a mutual fund that invests in all the above. And your long-term bucket, which is anything longer than 5 years. These are your true retirement dollars, your monies that are earmarked for very long-term use, longer than 5 years, should be in a combination of stock equity for growth, fixed income for stability and income, and a little bit of cash there to help diversify. So delineating those three things will help a client really focus on the long term. And with education, we're always educating clients on the history and the trends in the market, but really trying to look at this with a long-term lens. It's important to engage a financial planner early in the process. And if you're in accumulation phase, be sure that you're putting money away. A rule of thumb for someone in accumulation phase is between 15 to 20% of your pre-retirement income. So make sure you're saving. If you're at the phase where you are ready to retire and you are not ready financially, don't panic. Make sure you're engaging a planner. It's never too late to save. There are vehicles to help you capitalize on saving. At First National Wealth Management, through our planning approach, we're here ready to help you. And even with disbursement strategies, that's something that we can help you out with here at the First National Wealth Management. First National Wealth Management is here to assist you, whether it be in the accumulation phase or post-retirement, any component of the planning process, we're here to help you.